Alright, Battle for Wanla, Chapter 12, Signs. Little preview of, oh, here we go, the Pillar Guard. In the fading light, Ava turned back to see the sun sink in the sky. Past the scree-covered slope, she watched the overgrown ruins far beyond slip into darkness. Somewhere out there, Caruncle and Haley were probably looking for her. I hope I can find them after I locate Zinn, she thought. The Pillar Guard trekked down a path that wound through a gap in the mountain ridges. As twilight blanketed the landscape, a brisk chill settled in the pass. Ava pulled her hood over her head to stave off the cool night air. "Hey," she tapped the guard's neck. "We need to stop so I can take a break." She pointed to the ground. The guard responded in more musical notes and lowered its arm so that Ava could climb down. "I don't know why the vocal transcoder doesn't work with you." She slid down the long arm. Once on the ground, Ava stretched and flexed the stiffness and aches in her hands from gripping the guard's neck for so long. After squatting down behind a large rock to relieve herself, Ava realized it had been some time since she had eaten. She pulled a susta bar from the pocket of her poncho and nibbled off part of it. The bar must have been old, as it tasted stale. She spit it out and wiped her mouth. Unsure of what to do with it, she decided to crumble up the bar and conspicuously place it on the ground along with the wrapper. "I bet Bix and Bax will find this, and then Haley will know I came this way." Ava returned to the Pillar Guard. In the deepening night she could now see the pinpoint patterns of shimmering light that pulsated underneath the guard's semi-translucent skin. It brought to mind the biochemical nervous system of Mother from the heart of the wandering forest. Ava placed a palm on the guard's wide columnar leg and felt the warmth emanate from within. "I wonder, are you a machine or an organic being? Maybe you're both, like Mother was." The guard laid its hand down on the rocky ground for Ava to climb onto. "My abilities certainly don't work on you. How are we supposed to talk?" A short melody chimed from the guard. "They used remotes to control you back in Solus. Who's controlling you now? Is it Zinn?" The guard remained silent. Its hand still lay on the ground, waiting for Ava to join him. "Do you understand anything that I'm saying?" Frustration grew in Ava's voice. Once more she looked for a stick to draw on the sand as Caruncle had done, but there was nothing but large rocks and thatch surrounding her. If only I had something to draw with. The liquid light pen! Ava plucked the pen from her pocket and shook it as Haley had done. She knelt down in front of a large boulder and scrawled out a picture of Zinn holding a Pillar Guard remote. The light and the ink shone brightly in the night. She pointed to the drawing. "Is that who controls you?" The guard's eyes gazed down at her drawing as if they were headlights on a hovercraft. It replied in a sing-song of blats and trills. "Good." Ava added an arrow in the words "this way" to her drawing. She climbed up at the guard's segmented arm and took her perch at its shoulder. They continued their journey through the night toward the east. From time to time, Ava dropped food and wrappers for Bix and Bax to find. It reminded her of an old story, a fairy tale that Mother had told her long ago. In that story, two lost children had defeated an evil witch who had tried to eat them. They found their way back home using a trail they'd made of pebbles. This brought to mind Ava's conversation with Caruncle regarding fairy tales. We'll find out if this story is a happy ending soon enough, she thought. The glow of a rising sun cut a golden slice across the dusky clouds above. Ava's arms were cramped and her fingers sore from clutching onto the Pillar Guard through their journey. Somehow she had managed to stay put, even when she'd dozed off. The guard stood at the edge of the ridge, the end of the mountain pass that looked down into an arid valley littered with broken buildings, and the skeletons of fallen skyscrapers. Ava had arrived at the westernmost edge of the ancient city. A corroded sign, half buried in the sand, said, "Welcome to Manhattan." So many horrible things have happened here, Ava thought. It's the last place I want to be. But if he's here, She tucked a braid behind her ear and scanned the vast ruins, hoping to see Zinn zooming up to greet them. But he did not come. The pillar guard plodded down the steep slope of the ridge toward the ruins below. He carried Ava past sound-worn structures and eroding monuments. At last the guard stopped at the edge of a wide cavern. Ava shimmied down the arm of the guard into the sandy ground. The cave was much larger than the tunnel Otto had dug for the ancient art library. It dropped straight down vertically for many meters into darkness. From its shadowed center rose a gigantic lichen tree, the largest Ava had ever seen. The tree's umbrella shape blocked the bright sunlight from the cave that held its roots. Turnfins swooped and glided around the top of the tree, which housed their rookery. Down below, the distant sound of running water echoed up the cave walls. "Is this where Zinn is?" A reply came as a loud blast, and the guard pointed into the cavern. "Okay, I'll go down." The guard looked up to the sky as if sensing something. It emitted another brassy melody, then bounded away into the rubble-strewn landscape. "Where are you going?" Ava called after it. The guard did not reply. Jagged slabs of concrete and cinder block that formed the cave walls made the climb down easy for Ava. Once she descended below the brightness of the daylight, her eyes adjusted to the dim world that she now entered. It was not a cave after all, but an underground site of excavated ruins. It was as if some giant beast had torn the roof off a subterranean dwelling, revealed the many rooms and passages within. Ava continued her descent down through several stories and arrived at the original ground level. Arched doorways ringed the edges of what appeared to have been a vaulted foyer. The giant lichen tree rose from the center of the foyer's fractured floor. "Hello!" Ava's voice echoed through the ruin. Among the few remaining tiles still clinging to the walls was a cracked ceramic sign that read City Hall Station. The sound of dripping water echoed from one of the passages. Ava walked toward the sound through the dark passage. She arrived in a wide, curved corridor with arched supports. Shattered glass skylights allowed intermittent patches of sunlight to find its way in. Water from broken underground pipes trickled into a canal that followed the curve of the platform she was standing on. Wondrous trumpet-shaped growth sprung from the platform ledge surrounding the canal, while multicolored lichens patterned the foundation of adjacent walls. The layout reminded Ava of the sub-ferry station in New Attica. She closed her eyes and let her thoughts drift in the hopes of communicating with any nearby life forms. Though she was not in the forest, Ava still sensed the presence of beings. Many beings. The more she opened up her mental conduit, the more beings she sensed. Further, there was the humming presence Ava had heard before, felt ancient and powerful, beyond any creature she could imagine. The sound of the humming became too overwhelming. Ava opened her eyes and scanned the corridor, but saw nothing. "Zinn! Zinn, are you there?" She brushed her fingers along the reeds of ox fruit growing near the canal. Plucking one of the fruits to eat, she spied something large and flat lying on the ground. She knelt down to get a closer look. It appeared to be some sort of metal plaque with writing on it. Ava rubbed the sand and the dust away from her with her hands and read aloud, "This first municipal rapid transit railroad of the city of New York, suggested by the Chamber of Commerce, authorized by the state, constructed by the city." Out of the corner of her eye, Ava saw a patch of lichen move. She turned and crept close to the tiled wall before the foliose lichen was. Its osier leafy lobes radiated from a cluster of cup-like nodules. Ava went to touch one of the nodules, and it blinked. "What?" Ava jumped. All the nodules then blinked as a group, like beady black eyes placed in a pattern on a flat leafy face. Ava inspected the lichen closer, released a tiny puff of colored dust. "I do not move. It cannot see me." The words entered Ava's mind the moment the dust was released. I won't hurt you," she whispered. "I'm just here looking for someone." The round patch of lichen loosened itself from the stone surface and emerged from a bowl-shaped niche in the wall. Under its flattened lichen head was a squat tubular body. The waist-high creature scurried about on short tentacles. Its basic shape brought to mind the holograms Ava had studied of sea cucumbers. Several of the creature's tentacles stretched out to touch Ava. She sat down and let it inspect her face. The lichen creature released a series of colorful puffs, summoning others of its kind to come forth from their hiding place. Before long, there were dozens of the creatures surrounding Ava, leaving the cement walls riddled with hidey holes. I am curious, what is it? A new being? The thoughts came flowing in as the lichen creatures examined Ava. You're cute. Ava touched a fingertip to the tentacle of one of the natives. I don't think you are from the age of man. You're correct, human, a familiar chirpy voice said. Ava stood and spun around. From a shadowy alcove floated the one Ava had been searching for. Zin.